Hi guys, and happy Wednesday. I am your host Priscilla Moy, and you're watching The Hot Seat live in real time at social media shows. Every week we come here and we introduce you to a bunch of people that you should be knowing who are chasing their dreams or pursuing them, and they have a great story to tell about why they do what they do and how they do it. I always believe that the journey is the best process, and it makes a great story to really see how people fight for what they want. Whether it's in entertainment, which here in Las Vegas, we are the entertainment capital of the world, or it be politics, or it be small businesses. It can be anything that you can think of, and we are not subjecting or discriminating against any sort of career choice that any of our guests have. So we are open to anybody who wants to be on this show. Today, we do have some people from out of town, which I'm very, very grateful for. That's going to come all this way and be a part of this amazing show and tell you all about them, their journey, what they do, why they do it, and why they love doing it. So when we come back from the break, we are going to meet our guest, our one solo guest of today. And he's a very special one, and I cannot wait for you to hear everything that he has done, he's accomplished, and he is currently doing. So make sure to not go anywhere, grab your lunch, grab your drinks, and sit down and wait for this amazing interview. See you after the break.
Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the...
It's a tough market. We get it. Home inventory is at an all-time low. It's a seller's market, and cash buyers have the advantage. Recently, cash buyers made up more than a quarter of all home purchases. But we have the solution. New American Funding's Buyer Accepted program allows your buyers to compete with all cash offers by becoming cash buyers themselves. Here's how it works. Buyer Accepted LLC, an affiliated company of New American Funding, will purchase your buyer's new home with cash and sell it back to them for the original purchase price, plus a fee that can be added to the purchase of the home once they secure mortgage financing with New American Funding. The best part is that they don't need to sell their current home first. This is a true cash offer. Clients who use our Buyer Accepted program can secure financing using a conventional loan and even VA. Plus, there are no fees for agents and no sacrificing commissions. Buyer Accepted even offers a free 1-hour certification course that will make you the expert. You want to close more deals and help more clients? New American Funding's Buyer Accepted program is the answer.
Hi guys, and welcome back to The Hot Seat. I am your host Priscilla Moy, and we are going to jump right into our only guest of the day. I almost said first guest, but our only guest of the day. He came all the way from Los Angeles to be here. He's a very renowned actor, very trained, has a lot going on, has accomplished a lot of things. So everyone, please welcome Dustin Ardine. Hi, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Please have a seat.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure. Now, you have like a huge resume, huge bio. There's a lot going on, and it's amazing, so that's why I'm very grateful that you're here explaining everything to us. But first and foremost, you are Nevada born, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I was born in Reno, and I lived there for a little bit, traveled to Pittsburgh, lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for a little bit. I've pretty much lived in almost every state in the union at some point.
That's pretty good, though, being cultured. You
Yeah.
get away from one area, you don't kind of build this, being in the industry, you probably know that it's way bigger than what we might know in Nevada or Las Vegas or just the West Coast.
Absolutely.
How things are done. So you started when you were really young, right? And you're not just an actor, you're a classically trained actor, and then you also do stunts and wrestling, I believe.
I started acting when I was 6 years old, and got into it very, very, very young, like you said, and got classically trained in the theater. Got trained. I'm a trained method actor, but I also went to the New York Film Academy. I was a graduate from there. I've traveled from New York, training out there, San Francisco. I went to the Academy of Art University out there, learned under Diane Baker, and then came to the New York Film Academy here, and I've done a whole slew of other, minor workshops, things like that. And I've also, as you mentioned before, I started professional wrestling when I was 14, I believe, and got trained by the Funk brothers, Dory Funk and Terry Funk, who recently just passed away, unfortunately, and AJ Styles, and a bunch of other names in the industry. So then from there, kind of transited to doing my own stunts and my own fight choreography and whatever I can do.
Yeah, you look like a wrestler. I mean, he really does. So it's on brand, and I know that you also opened your own, institution for wrestling as well.
Yes, I did. I ran for about 10 years in Reno. I ran Pro Wrestling Destination, which is we had a weekly running wrestling show on television. We did both weekly sometimes and monthly events where we bring in big stars from the WWE or WCW or whatever have you, TNA, and we bring them out and we put on a huge show at the rec centers in town, or a bunch of different places in town that promoted a spot that this was something. Because when I grew up there in Reno, there wasn't anything.
Yeah.
There was nothing as far as wrestling goes. We'd have to wait until the WWE came through once in a blue moon or something like that to be able to go see a wrestling show. But this was a good way to show not only local homegrown talent, but also a way to get some of the bigwigs out there. We had Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who's actually from Reno himself, and went on to become the legend that he is. I actually tagged in a match with him, which I'm very honored to have done before he passed. But it was wonderful. And then somewhere along the lines, I just looked at everything I was doing. We got to do shows at the Hilton, Grand Sierra, a bunch of big places like that. But it was kind of getting in the way of my ultimate dream, which is acting. Yeah. That's been my dream since I was 6 years old, and I was like, okay, you know what? I love what I'm doing. I've loved what I've been doing for over a decade, and we made a success out of it. But then we were just like, no, I want to go full-fledged. I don't want anything to stop me from going after my acting, because anytime you kind of focus on different things, you don't have the drive to just 100% go after it. So that's what I wanted to do. So I sold the company, sold pretty much everything I had built for 10 years, and I moved to Los Angeles, where I lived in my car for about 2 years while I was going to the New York Film Academy.
Wow. Drive, passion. We love it, though. But the good thing is with wrestling, I feel like you met a lot of people, you experienced a lot of things. It kind of built your stamina for doing a lot of stunts and physical things. So, I mean, it all kind of worked out the way it was supposed to. Now, you mentioned method acting, and that is your, acting choice that you would go to prepare for a role. Tell people what it is about method acting that you think specifically out of the 4 acting techniques that you feel works for you.
I mean, when you're studying and learning all the different, techniques, whether it's Meisner, Adler, whatever have you, you have to choose the one that can bring something out of you. Method acting for me is, some people say that it's kind of dangerous in different ways because of how far you can go with it. Myself, I've done things to my body that my body's not very happy about. I put on over 85 pounds once for a role called Ariadne, where I played like this Minotaur character, and then I immediately lost it for the film called Birth, which is actually showing out here in Vegas this weekend. And I didn't eat for over 4.5 months, just didn't eat anything but water pretty much, and dropped it that way. But what I love more about method acting is it makes you touch in and tap into real world pains that you have in a way to connect to the character. I've done things that a couple years ago I did a film where our characters were locked in a box. Like basically our heads were the only things out of the box, and both on and off set I wouldn't allow myself to come out of the box because I wanted to feel what the character felt, because I think that will relay more to the audience, relay more on the screen, so that the audience can connect more with it. When I was growing up in Reno, like I said, I love Reno, but there wasn't a whole lot there for a kid, and especially one with big aspirations like I had, that wanted to branch out and go be the best thing that I could be. So I had to have all these delusions of grandeur on my head, but I came from kind of a broken family and background and everything, but films were an escape for me. They always have been. They always were. I could go sail the seven seas, or I could go on an adventure with my favorite comedians, or whatever it is. And because of that, I was able to make it through a tedious childhood, and one that had some ups and downs, where we didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring, and films always helped me get past that. And if I could do that for somebody else, and another kid out there who doesn't know what they want to do with their life, and whether it's acting or wrestling or writing or whatever they want to be, it's important to have them have that escape from reality, and be shown that you really can do anything that you want to do.
Yeah.
You just have to have the drive and determination to go get it.
Do you feel that method acting, because of all of that in your past, kind of lets you escape for a minute from who you are?
I've said many times, and I know my fiance doesn't like it when I say it, but I'm more comfortable in character than I am out of character.
I feel like that's what I'm getting. Yeah.
I love being me, and I love being
Right.
the person that I am, that have the drive that I have. But there's something about becoming another character and looking at life through somebody else's lens, and deciding this is what this character would do, and this decision, he'd make this decision, or this is how he would be affected by this scenario. And when you're building another life like that, it's an intense thing, and it can completely take over you, which it has to me. But I feel more on set. I feel more at home on set than I do pretty much anywhere else.
Yeah, I feel like films and movies have become sort of therapy for you.
Absolutely.
And it goes into your training and how vigorous you take it, because it's an escape.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be someone else, so you don't have to live with the memories of maybe things you don't want to deal with, whether or not you're past those things. But everyone has their own way of going through those things, and
Absolutely.
to you is to be the best actor you can be, and kind of just derive from looking at different points of life, which
Absolutely.
I feel is great, because I love hearing why people choose certain ways and techniques to acting. It makes sense to them as a whole.
Oh, yeah,
Because some people choose that because they think that that's the way, but you obviously, there's more to it, and I love that for you. Now, you studied film, you went to film school, and then you also have been classic trained theater, which I have too, but I would just love to see the difference from your point of view, training, educational wise, going to a place, an institution, academy, a school, university, where you see the differences of how you're taught. What are those?
Well, for me, because I'm still in school. I'm actually getting my doctorate right now in communications with a focus in film and media studies. Another way that I wanted to learn about film and how it communicates to its audience, and going that route, I've been able to see many different vantage points, because that's one of the beauties of communication is you don't just have to see things from one single lens. You actually want to look at a situation and see every person's point of view, and think of every single scenario that person would think about, and what would come into play. And I think that that's actually strengthened my acting, because I don't just look at any character from one linear point of view. I have to look at them from the entire approach, because we as individuals are not linear. We're we have so much levels to us, and how our upbringing is, to how our belief systems are, to anything about us. And I think when you go to training, you kind of grasp more of that than if you didn't. Because for a long time I was self-taught. When I wanted to be 6 years old actor, I was looking at the screen going, okay, how did he do that, and trying to emulate my favorite characters' voices, or just things like that to kind of entertain myself. But then once you really buckle down and you get trained as a thespian, and you get trained in the art of acting, obviously the first thing you learn is there's a big difference between acting on stage and acting on screen, but you see it from a completely different perspective that gives you way more levels to be able to build a character and shoot a scene, rather than just the one linear line of going in. And I remember one of my favorite classes was auditioning class, where we'd go in and we'd have the single sentence that we'd have to work on all day long, and you have to read it so many different ways, because a lot of people, they think, oh well, that's just a person screaming, or this is just a person trying to tell a joke or whatever, when there's many different ways that you can do it. And that's one of the things I love about acting, is looking at a scenario and just thinking, okay, well, it could go the way that everybody thinks it could go, but what else is behind it? How else could it be done? And I think training gives you that ability to see things all the way around. And now that I'm, getting my doctorate in it, it's something that I'm realizing has real world implications, not just in the arts, but to our real world. I just did a paper where I talk about there actually is a therapy going on right now that is cinema therapy, and it's a lot of therapists are using films to kind of reach their patients on a lower, deeper level to give them better treatment, which I think is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's such an interesting way to try to go about treating somebody, because someone like yourself who might immerse themselves in it, I might bring something else out of them that normal ways wouldn't. So I'm going to ask you this question, and it's going to be very subjective, but with all your training, and I have this thought as well, I have my own opinions, but when you see how easy and accessible it is for social media stars or anyone just to get huge roles when they, versus maybe someone that's been training their whole life for acting, and they got it not because of maybe being a great actor, but because their social status, such as maybe like Kim Kardashian in the recent American Horror Story. What is your take on things like that as a very trained, educated actor?
I kind of look at it from two different perspectives. Mm-hmm. The first one is I just actually did a film where I had this exact same scenario happen. The film was called A Walking Miracle, and it was directed by William Baldwin. Had William Baldwin, Stephen Baldwin, Daniel Baldwin, pretty much all the Baldwins, except I think Alec was shooting his own film at that time. Had Mickey Rourke, Denise Richards, Dina Meyer in it, Dean Cain, a whole big slew. And it's a wonderful film, and I play a supporting character in the film. I play a doctor, and the lead actor of the film, very nice kid, really nice to me. Actually, when we were on set, he was teaching me how he did a lot of his TikTok stuff, but he's a TikTok star. He has like millions of followers on TikTok, but this was the first film he'd ever done. Had no real acting experience for that. So obviously you can look at that from two different perspectives. One is, what business do you have being a lead, in a film when you have no acting ability? But then the other perspective of it is, it's all about getting our names out there and building our brands and building, who we are to this world. So if one person goes the theatrical route and, goes to Juilliard and then, does shows on Broadway and then becomes a huge A-list celebrity, and another person is YouTube or, TikTok, and then they get in that way, it doesn't really, all it shows is that our world is changing, and obviously we have to adapt and change with it. So either way is totally fine. It's optional. It's about taking advantage of the world that we live in. What it comes down to is, can that TikTok star or can that YouTube star put on the same performance in the end that classically trained actor can? Because I would even say the same as vice versa. Just because I can go out there and do a wonderful, if anybody thinks I did, but do a wonderful shot, hopefully, or I can go out there on stage remembering, every sonnet from Hamlet or, what have you, doesn't mean that I can become a nationally famous TikTok star. When he was showing me what he was doing, I had no clue. Right. So it's looking at the different perspectives and keeping an open mind, but then at the end of the day it's like, okay, well, what can you do with what you're trying to give us? If you can sit there and do an Oscar worthy performance and you became a TikToker, more power to you. That's wonderful. Yeah. But the same is, in reverse is the same way. Yeah,
that's why I love asking, because I know I feel you the same as I have a lot of pride in how much education and training and how much time you took to be what you wanted. You knew what you wanted, but you knew there were ways and steps that you wanted to leave behind in your legacy, that you want to be a great actor, not just get a couple roles here and there and be like, yeah, I'm this, the star, you know what I mean? And then have no idea anything about any of that stuff. But the good thing about you is you have, is it 50 Best Actor awards so far under your belt?
I believe I just won my 52nd.
52nd, okay. Wow. So how does that feel?
Speechless is the only word that I can come up with, because I'm so thankful for every award that I've won. And when I started winning them. I still remember the very first one that I ever won, and it's still on my wall, and it still means just as much to me today as it did back then. And each award that I've been given, it means just as much, because it's to me it's not just like, okay, I did a great role and somebody gave me an award or whatever. It's validation for the hard work that I did. Not that I need the award for the validation, because I think the audience gives the validation, but the fact that the industry can give validation, and a director or someone on a film festival panel or jury can say, this person really gave their all. We can see it on the screen. We know all the ins and outs behind the scene, but we can tell the hard work and the sacrifice that particular actor put in.
They recognized you.
Yeah.
Yes,
and obviously, I don't know how you do that in that kind of situation. I'm even imagine like the Oscars. How do you gauge talent, and how do you say one is better than the other or whatever? But even to have been nominated in the categories is wonderful. So then to get any amounts of the wins is even more flattering and just wonderful.
Yeah, because a lot of them are international too. It's not just local. And I want to be like, okay, but like, are they just like all Las Vegas, Silver State? I'm like, no, these are like, there's one from like Rome, right? Or am I? Yeah.
Rome, Paris, Greece. I mean, I've been very, very lucky and very fortunate in that department to not only have my films reach that far, but to be, awarded and recognized it's wonderful, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. Now you have done a massive amount of films. You got all these awards. Is there one role specifically that you feel will always stick with you? Whether it be something that you dramatically did as a method actor, or something that you feel you most accomplished with?
I think in the stage world, I played Iago in Othello, and I won the Shakespearean, I think it was the Tahoe International Shakespearean Award for Best Actor for that, and I will never forget winning that one, because that was one of the very first times that I looked down at the page and I said, okay, how can I play this in a way that nobody ever has, or at least that I know that nobody ever has. So I looked at the character of Othello, and I thought to myself, okay, well, what if his jealousy, what if it stems from an actual real deep love, like that he's in love with the with Othello, with his counterpart, and it's not just a brotherlyhood thing, but it's actually deep love. So that's how I played him, and I guess people really liked it, and it got me to be able to touch a part of myself that came out on stage. Film wise, I think I would always have to obviously remember the film Birth, which is showing this weekend, because I didn't eat for 4.5 months to drop the weight that I had gained from Ariadne that I did before that, which was a feature film that I gained over 85 pounds for, and then not eating for 4.5 months was terrible, and I don't recommend it to anybody. But it was something that I did for the character, and I didn't eat throughout the entire production either. And the director of it, she's a wonderful director, and she was from Turkey, and she had wonderful catering every day on set. So I'd have to smell all this greatness. But honestly, I think that another role that I've done that really hit, I think, close to home would be either the one that I just did that I'd mentioned before, A Walking Miracle, or another film that I did a while back that it's still never come out. It's called I'm Not For Sale, and it was a film where I met my fiance.
Okay.
And she was a makeup artist, and at the time she didn't like me. She wanted to stay away from me because I was the villain in the role, and she didn't know what method acting was at that point. So she just saw this really mean-looking guy on set pacing back and forth and staying in character. So she didn't want to really be around me. But then we got to know each other, and she realized that, oh, that's not me. So it was more just for that character. But even though that film's never come out, it was a film that we did with Tom Sizemore before he unfortunately passed away. And to this day, it's still never come out, which is, don't you hate it when that happens?
How many films that I'm like, really?
Yep. But yeah, that one will always have a special place in my heart for introducing me to my fiance.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's interesting how, a lot of times post, mortem, all that stuff, like they would not have that film come out on purpose solely because, to honor his hard work and his legacy. But, a lot of times, I hear a lot of actors that really starve themselves for roles. The recovery process of that, I feel like, could be just as bad as getting there. Because you can't just start eating again right away. Before you start, your body starts, like, regurgitating everything you're trying to eat, right? Mm-hmm. Did you take a time off after that?
I made sure that I eased my way into it. And I didn't start the clock until I actually wasn't eating anything. But I was doing a couple drinks. There was this thing called the Master Cleanse that I had done for about 10 days. And then I was just like, you know what? I've already stopped eating for 10 days. I'm going to just keep going until the film wraps. And it was, 4.5 months later. But when I started eating again, it was the day after principal photography wrapped. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm not eating, because there was all this great food around, and there's like burgers and all this other kind of stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. What is something that I can do? So I started out with broth. I started out with chicken broth, and then the next day was like stew, and then the next day after that, I think another thing of stew, but like more times per day, and then I was finally able to eat solids foods again and stuff, because you can't just go immediately off, because you're really gonna hurt yourself. And again, that's one of the benefits of getting trained, both academically and in theater. You learn things like that. You don't just go into it blindly. Yeah. You understand that if I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this to my body, I have to do it the right way. Which again, no right way. Not telling anybody to do it. Yeah. Very painful. But it at least you do it the best of the dumb way that you possibly could.
Yeah, and you come out of it healthy, which is the most important thing. A lot of people can get. It affects mental, affects everything, that you can really cause harm long term if you don't approach it in a very specific way. I'm not going to say healthy way, because clearly that's not the right word.
Not healthy. But
what would
it's a kind of the same way that you do with method acting. Mm-hmm. If you go deep into a role, you still got to kind of bring yourself out of it. Yeah. So it's the same.
Yeah, and you'll hear a lot of actors that literally for months afterwards they get confused with what's real, what's not anymore.
What part of them is the character?
Mm-hmm. What would you give advice to, let's just say an actor is working actor, but it's the steadiness? Because, I think a lot of fear that as actors have, if you're on A-lister, is, okay, you finish one job, but, like, you always want to have something lined up, because you can go jobless for 2 years, right? You seem to be pretty steady, right? Obviously, you're accomplishing a lot. What would your advice be to people to maintain that steadiness?
I mean, obviously, with the strike going on, right now, there's not a whole, work at all, especially for those of us, in the union, and obviously between the SAG union and the WGA, there isn't, work. Hopefully the strike ends, here pretty soon, and hopefully we're victorious, and, we can say that. But that notwithstanding, one of the things that I would tell somebody else is you have to do it yourself. A lot of the times, in fact, when I go to an agent or a manager, I tell them, and a lot of the times I can't believe I'm saying it, but I tell them, I was like, if you put me in the room, if you get me the audition, obviously I'm going to give you your cut. But if you do nothing for it, I'm not, because what did you do? Right. I'm not just going to give you money that I worked hard for. So a lot of actors think, oh, I got an agent or I got a manager, boom, I'm done. It's not like that. And you still have to go every single day to every one of those websites, get yourself on, Actors Access and IMDb.com and all those actor websites, as many of them as you possibly can, even for voice work or for, anything out there, and look for it yourself. You got to dedicate numerous hours a day sitting on your butt and looking at the screen and trying to send out your reels and trying to meet people. And that's another way to go about it is networking events or going to film festivals and meeting the people that are in the industry. We've been friends on Facebook for a while, but this is actually the first time that we've actually met.
That might be why. I'm like, I know this name. How do I know? There it is. It's the Facebook.
Yep. And that's another thing is social media. Now, there's so much more avenues that we have nowadays that, yes, some things are worse today than they were, 10, 20 years ago, but a lot of things are also way better, and it's a matter of how we look at it and how we utilize it, because social media is another way that you can meet people, and I may not be sitting here right now if it wasn't for Facebook, but hopefully I would be.
Yeah.
But it's meeting people, it's getting out there, it's getting your name out there, and I'm not even close to where I want to be yet. So I got a long ways to go, and I know that, and I'm not going to stop, working hard for it.
What is the place you want to go? What is the legacy you're trying to leave behind, and where's your end goal? Whether it be A-lister, or there's a lot of people that actually choose they want to do indie. Like, what is that for you? What does that look like?
I mean, for me, it's not a matter of indie versus A-lister. I mean, obviously everybody would love to be an A-lister, but I had a professor who was very wise, one of my favorite theater teachers that told me, because everybody's afraid of being, stereotyped in Hollywood, or everybody's afraid of, being pigeonholed. And what his recommendation in that department was, if you are lucky enough to get stereotyped, it means you're working all the time, which is a wonderful thing. It's another way, to look about it. Again, perspective. If you're working all the time, be happy, because there's a billion actors in the union that aren't, I think only 1 or 2% of actors in the union, and all the people that are in the union, 1 or 2% is actually working actors, which is a very scary thought. But at least you're working. So, if I'm the one guy that everybody goes, hey, I know that guy, and they see me in many different films, and I'm lucky enough to get that one film that lasts throughout the ages, or that becomes a cult hit or a family favorite. That's wonderful. Obviously, being an A-lister and being the greatest actor I could possibly be, winning an Oscar, and all that wonderful Hollywood's dream stuff is still there, and I still definitely want that. But as long as, I think for me the more important aspect is, like you said before, the legacy that you leave behind. And if I leave a legacy that I helped people out and got them to be able to escape for a little bit, or I was able to help inspire somebody to live their dream, or just help the kid out who needed help, and got him to be able to go on an adventure with me on the screen, instead of listening to parents, yelling and screaming in the background, that would be wonderful.
Now you're in town, like you live in LA right now. You guys came out and you're here for the Las Vegas Movie Awards, correct? This weekend, and it's showing one of your films. Now, are you up for an award for it, or is it just a showing? What is it about?
I believe I'm up for an Audience Choice Award from everything that they're showing. The film that is showing is Birth, and that was the film I was speaking of earlier. And I did at the Las Vegas Movie Awards, I did win the Best Actor Award for that film. I believe actually I posted about it at the day that it happened, because me and Tom Sizemore won at the same exact time. I won for, I think, Best Actor, and they do theirs by categories, like Award of Excellence or something like that, which was their top Best Actor award, and he won for, I think, Best Supporting Actor for a different award, and that would be wonderful.
Now, is this open for other people to come view?
Absolutely.
Other people in film? How does that work? Are there tickets that maybe people...
Tickets are on sale right now at, so you can go to the Las Vegas Movie Awards.com. They have it all on there. I think there's VIP tickets, there's meet and greet tickets, there's they're going to do a whole red carpet event. And yeah, please, everybody come out and see all the films. See my film Birth, which I believe is showing both nights, and we'll hopefully see you there.
Now, I always ask this one last question to all of my guests, and it kind of sums up their whole journey and their whole story and them as a person. Is there a philosophy that you live by?
I'm very much a person that believes what you put in is what you get back. So... And that's in anything. That's not just what you want to do for a career. That's what you do in your relationship. If you're in a relationship with a wonderful person and they're giving and giving and giving, but you're not, it's not a relationship that's going to last very, very long. And if you're in a you got a best friend, or you're in your career, you're going to the gym, or you want to lose weight or gain weight, whatever it is, you have to be willing to take the hits, and you have to be willing to put everything that you have in, so then you can get everything that you possibly could get out. So that's always, how I live life. When I go into an audition, I always tell people, you put me in a room with 10 other people that look exactly like me, because that's how we live, in the industry. It doesn't bother me, because I know that I'll outwork every one of them every time.
Exactly. It's that confidence and the work ethic that you have that, trust me, is not common in the industry. As much as hard work it takes to make a film, a lot of times, there's some people that get it by luck. We know this. As hardworking actors, some people are given to them every time. But then the one thing that that you always have is you've had to work for it, therefore that will never go away. And it's something that you earn through time. It's not something that anyone can be like, okay, well, I could do that too. Not in real life. If they put it right there in front of them on a platter, they'll be like, it's hard, I can't do it anymore. We see, I know, you don't want to say it, but it's all the time. You see it on sets, you see it everywhere, the privilege, the entitlement. And I'm hoping that goes away, and that a lot of hardworking, trained actors like us kind of finally get that one thing that you've been waiting for. It's always that one role, right? That one role. And that's it. That's all you need.
One role's all you need. And again, and it's for what you want, you know, because again, if you want, 15 minutes of fame, it could be, the one role. But if you want a long, steady career, again, it's that one role that gets you in the door, but then you have to still continue to work and work and work. The people that have had long-standing decades of careers, they're the hardest working people in the industry, and when you look at them, you're like, hey, they're not off in some remote location having, a year-long vacation. They're going from set to set to set to set, and they're going from pitch meeting to audition to everything. And they're not the ones that say like, oh, well, I'm an A-lister, I don't audition, or that any of that kind of stuff. True. So you have to be willing again to humble yourself and go, it's all about the work. I mean, yes, everything else that comes with it is wonderful, but that's not the focus of it. That's not what you want from it. And if you get distracted by that kind of stuff, you won't get the ultimate goal that you want.
We all gotta pay our dues.
Exactly, pay your
humbly,
dues
though.
Humbly, and don't forget that this is a very people think outside of Hollywood and outside of this industry, it's this big, huge industry, and there's billions of people in it. I mean, that might be true, but it's a very small industry in many ways too. And you never know who might be that person that gives you that role, or you never know who might introduce you to that person that might give you that role. So you always want to be humble, respectful, and thankful. Like I am being on this show with you.
But one last thing. I know that was my last question, but because I'm hearing you say the wide range of people in this industry, I'm sure you've experienced how toxic it can also be, because we're all sold by the Hollywood glamour. We're also by the lights, the camera, the fame, all this that people might get later on. But, I don't know about you, but I deal with a lot of more so toxic abuse, more so than what other people might see on my social media. Is there a way for you to handle that type of superficialness that this industry puts on everyone, that makes everyone be fake, that makes people want to be an actor for the wrong reasons? How do you handle that individually?
I think with me individually, because I can always make sure that I don't put myself, or when I'm on a set, don't allow other people that I care for to be put in situations like that. But I can't, save the world, or anything like that. So I can only do, what I can do. But if you make a dent, in just a small area, it could have ripple effects. So if I make sure that I'm always humble myself, and that I remember that I'm an actor, that's what I want to be. I'm here, to be a part of a film. I'm not here to be the most important factor of the film. The actor is the voice of the character. But it takes the director, it takes the writer, it takes the composer, it takes the makeup artist, it takes everybody to make the film. You're not the most important person on the set, and it takes a team to make a wonderful film. So if I remember that, and I, again, kind of control it in my own environment where I can, and not lose that the humble nature, or not allow myself to be engulfed by that kind of toxicity. It will be more beneficial, one, for myself, but then also, like I said, creating that ripple effect that maybe others can feel more comfortable being on a film with me, or or just being that way themselves.
Setting an example, basically.
Setting an example, but also wanting to keep yourself too humble enough to be like, well, everybody should be like me, But again, trying to do it for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons, like you said. I mean, we're here to be in this industry. We know what the industry entails. I mean, I've been on sets where people didn't want to do things that were just like, you're an actor, that's your job. And I'm sure you have as well. And if it's something that the industry calls for and it's part of what you do, then obviously you knew that getting into it. But if it has nothing to do with the industry and it's all that toxic nature that we don't want to get involved in it, don't get involved in it. Don't the warning signs, and you can see them. And just stay away from the warning signs.
Now, where can everyone find you?
I'm all over social media. Dustin Ardine, DustinArdine.com. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Dustin Ardine Actor on Facebook. And I always post about where I'm going to be at or what's my next upcoming film. Like, right now I'm getting ready for a little role in a convention where I'm playing a pirate. So got the beard growing, and I'm actually about to shave my head.
I see it.
About to shave my head.
Festival, it's giving all that. I love it. Yeah.
So always trying to live the character as much as I can, on and off screen. But please follow me. Please follow my career. I would absolutely appreciate it. If you're in Vegas this weekend, come out to the Las Vegas Movie Awards and see Birth and have fun with us. And I want to thank you again and thank everybody with the show, and it was wonderful to be here.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you really enjoyed this. It was a great interview. I love getting in depth with you and really hearing. I think you are the epitome of what I want on the hot seat. I'm all about hearing people's stories and showing the people that deserve to get to the spot that they're trying to work at. It's about the work ethic and letting people know who you actually are, because everyone's gonna perceive something, right? Oh, he's one of those actors,
can't
right?
Fight against it.
You can't. But it's always great if I can give you a voice and a platform for you to explain and kind of just really show that this is me and why you feel like you deserve your place. I love that. And I'm glad you didn't come as a pirate. I'm glad you kind of, at least for this sake, you don't come and be
I was
like
this
Artie,
close.
like,
I was
hey.
this close.
And be like, what? Okay, Captain Hook. Whatever. But it's great. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
You as well.
Now I know how I know you. Facebook people. I've been struggling. I was like, Maria, this name. I was like, I know this person, but I've never met him.
At least my name's getting around. That's good.
See, I was like, I know who he is, right? She's like, well, did you work with him? Did you meet? I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. I was so confused. But anyway, please follow Dustin. Please reach out to him if you are welcome to that, if they have any questions,
Absolutely,
things like that,
please.
or you need an actor, you want to inquire. Please hit up Dustin, do all those things. He's a great person, very humble.
Thank
I
you.
love having you here. So a great pleasure. Round of applause for Dustin, please. Anyway, make sure to not go anywhere. I'm not done talking. So, yeah. I'll see you after the break.
The year is 2980, and we now know that death is not the end. A soul can be extracted from the recently deceased and be used to create a blue liquid called essence. It can bring a person back to life.
We'll get her back.
I hope so.
It's an expensive process used by the rich and powerful. The rest, they do what they can to survive.
Stay right there.
You told me you're hiding from some dangerous people.
Let's knock on the door. I spent the last year searching for the Deep Star. A bounty so big that the entire galaxy could be yours.
People have been looking for the Deep Star for years. It can't be found.
It's because they can't find the distress beacon. I know where it is.
If we find the Deep Star, we could get enough credits to bring Mom back.
Blast off.
Guys, we have company.
You can run, but you cannot hide. Prepare for impact. I am now authorized to take action.
how you die.
No!
The year is 2980, and we now know that death is not the end. A soul can be extracted from the recently deceased and be used to create a blue liquid called essence. It can bring a person back to life.
We'll get her back.
I hope so.
It's an expensive process used by the rich and powerful. The rest, they do what they can to survive.
Stay right there.
You told me you're hiding from some dangerous people.
Let's knock on the door. I spent the last year searching for the Deep Star, a bounty so big that the entire galaxy could be yours.
People have been looking for the Deep Star for years. It can't be found.
It's because they can't find the...
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Hot Seat. My name is Priscilla Moy, and you're watching live in real time here at the Social Media Show studio. That interview with Dustin was absolutely amazing. I hope you guys really were listening to the things that he was saying. It's very important, especially if you are an aspiring actor or you're someone in the industry that maybe feels lost or doesn't have hope, or you're just trying to get some tips from someone who's actually working in the industry. And he is a union actor, so even when things are going with the strike and all those things, he still stays hopeful, and he's still out here really networking and pushing his name out. And we're really glad that he came all the way from Los Angeles. And yes, he's here for the movie awards, but he also made time to be here the day he literally flew in. Like, they literally just got here and they came right into the studio. So it's always great when guests are really making time for us and my show. That makes me feel really good that clearly I'm doing something amazing. Anyway, but more importantly is, if you guys feel that you would love to be on the hot seat and you have what it takes to be here, I would love it so much if you guys would either refer people, or you want to submit yourself. Please submit your bio and your photo or headshot to admin@socialmediashows.com, and we can always get you booked on the show, and we would love to have you. We'd love to make sure you get some reach on your name, and make sure the show gets reach, because that's really important as well, because I really want people to listen to your interviews and care, because that's the point of the show. But also, if you want to sponsor any of the shows at Social Media Shows, which is also a very important thing, because duh, we are a business, right? You can also inquire about that at admin@socialmediashows.com. So I really hope that we hear from you through that email, and that we're progressing. Clearly we are. We're getting some amazing talent here in the studio, and I'm meeting a bunch of new people, which is always great. It's networking while working. We love that. And we love that you guys are viewing the videos, you're sharing it, you're liking, you're commenting. It's all about algorithms. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next week on the hot seat.